right, welcome in and a very happy Saturday to you. It is last call here on this first Saturday of March. Let the madness begin as we've got over 130 college basketball games today to go over. We got a few NBA games that we're going to touch on as well. A lot of basketball today, which means you get to ask a whole lot of questions about some of the games you're interested in. If you're on the fence on any of these games coming up here today, please drop your questions across the board here in the chat rooms. Want to send a big shout out to those joining us via every platform known to mankind at this point, apparently. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter in the house here, as is Instagram. And Facebook Reels, as well as YouTube Shorts. So wherever you may be watching us here, happy Saturday to you. We got three of the best here at WagerTalk.com. First up will be Bryan Power. We'll have Marco D'Angelo making his last call debut. And Mr. Ronald Cabang, RC, here also getting ready to talk some NBA. So if you're new to us, it's simple. You have a question, drop them in the chat room, and we will get to as many as we can over the next 45 minutes or so as we welcome in Bryan Power. My goodness, Bryan Power in the house. What is going on, BP? I was so excited about the day, and then I looked at the roster, and I'm like, oh, boy. So you've got a couple of games that you are, without a doubt, interested in. So why don't we kick it off first and foremost, talking about the Big Ten, because I can't think of anybody better to talk about this conference here, as Iowa getting points was a little head-scratching to some people this morning. It looks like some Iowa money has come in, has dropped this down to, 2.5 now? 3 is what we're looking at as Northwestern's playing walk-ons. It's not great for them injury-wise. So talk to me here, BP. How are you looking at this game here today, which I believe early afternoon?
Well, on the West, it's 5:30 tip-off on here in the Eastern time zone. Yeah, and by the way, Joe, of course, I was looking forward to starting my weekend with you just as much as you were looking to start it with me. Now let's go to the Big Ten, shall we? This is a game that we were talking about on the Power 5 yesterday. I like Iowa. I agree with the Iowa money, Joe. It's a massive sell on Northwestern. You mentioned the injury concerns, okay? Top three-point shooter, Ty Berry, he's done for the season. In addition, third leading scorer, Ryan Langborg, he missed the last game at Maryland. Now you're saying, BP, my goodness, Northwestern beat Maryland. How did that happen, starting a walk-on? Well, Maryland, Joe, decided they weren't going to hit water from a boat. They were 2 for 22 from three-point range. Anyone who watched that game saw that those were open looks the Terps were getting too. So it was really, really frustrating. That was a game where Maryland took a lot of money. They lose outright, but I just don't think Northwestern is going to be as lucky when it comes to opponent three-point shooting here as they were earlier in the week against Maryland. I say that because Iowa's shooting 39% from three. They're 12th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. Yes, Northwestern's won 5 of 6, but it's been a favorable schedule. They've beaten the bottom 4 in the Big Ten. This is not a team that got a lot from its bench anyway. So when you've got depth issues, when you've got injury concerns, that's problematic. They've shot the three remarkably well over the last 10 games, Joe. 45% over the last 10 games. That's with an off night against Maryland. 45% over the last 10 games. That's number 1 in the country over that stretch. I see some three-point regression both offensively and defensively for Northwestern in this game. Iowa, they've averaged 82.3 points over their last 4 contests. Tough to cover a spread against a team getting points who averages 83 over their last 4. I like Iowa on Saturday.
It's interesting, too. Has Iowa done enough, maybe, certainly with this win, to get maybe an at-large bid here? Because they seem to be the forgotten one in the Big Ten here. I think a win today certainly maybe eases some of those concerns of not just having to win the Big Ten to be in, but maybe a big win here on the road against Northwestern could push them over the edge for an at-large bid.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that argument, Joe, Northwestern seems kind of safe, right? So Iowa comes in as the more desperate team, obviously, here. I think that's why we're seeing some of that money. It's a mindset that a lot of people understand, and it's one that, quite frankly, I agree with here on the card.
All right, good stuff there. Don't forget, we got some questions on some games coming in here, guys. Bryan Power with us. Marco D'Angelo will be up next. And, of course, RC Ronald Cabang will be in here. So drop those in the chat. And we are going to certainly get to as many as we can. And those that might be joining us for the first time here at WagerTalk TV, no matter what the platform is, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Welcome into the WagerTalk TV family as we're going to move on here, BP, to another game that you no doubt have some interest in here today. And this also is going to be a good one. And we got, as I'm seeing now, you ask BP, you get a boatload of questions on games coming up. And we'll start with the earlier ones that are coming in. But talk to me here about Bama and Tennessee and the SEC, because let's face it, this is going to be an interesting game here. How good are these two teams? And we'll learn a little bit something about them here, as Tennessee is maybe the best top 5 team nobody seems to be talking about. But they got to be in Bama to beat them. Are you buying them beating Alabama here today?
Yeah, the metrics have had both of these teams in the top 10 all year, Joe. I know with Alabama, there are some real sharp home road splits. Well, guess what? They're in Tuscaloosa here tonight. I think that's really key. Tennessee is coming off a really hard game midweek against Auburn. They won it, okay, but they were not covering most of that game. And what they really benefited from was having Dalton Connect, he goes for 39. 21 of those were in the final 9-10 minutes of the game. He outscored Auburn by himself down the stretch. Now, that was a ranked versus ranked battle, Joe. All season, we have been seeing home teams, home favorites, I should say, really dominate at the betting window in these. This is another ranked versus ranked game. The line's a lot shorter. Alabama's got revenge. As a matter of fact, that's a running theme on today's card, Joe. We have several top 25 matchups where the home favorite comes in with revenge. I think in every instance, it's a little bit baked into the line, the revenge angle. But here's the deal. When Alabama lost in Knoxville earlier this year by 20 points, a very uncharacteristically poor 4 of 21 from three-point land. They're not going 4 of 21 from three-point land tonight in Tuscaloosa. Why do I say that? Because they shoot at 41% at home from 3 at home. This is the number 1 most efficient offense in the country per Ken Palm. They are number 1 in the country in home scoring per game. I like Bama laying a short number in a revenge spot here. Don't think Dalton Connect can bail out the Vols 2 games in a row. And Tennessee, 4-10 ATS, their last 14 true road games, pardon me.
All right, well, there you go. SEC battle should be a fun one here. Let's see what these teams have. But they certainly, Connect is a good weapon to have. Can he do it again? Will they need him, really, to be able to take a game over again? That's going to be the big question with Tennessee. But certainly, you got to think maybe some points are coming here. I know we have some questions in the chat that we're going to get to there, BP. I know I got DePaul Butler, I think South Carolina, Florida, also on tap with guys, I believe, really Riley and Instagram has got one, as well as Rory with the locks. Almost read that wrong. Rory with the locks. Yes, the locks there, South Carolina and Florida. And I believe the DePaul Butler game, also one of those getting ready to start coming up at noon. So let's start with that one. Wants to know if we like the under. I'm seeing 147.5. That has come down. Opened up overnight 149.5. Not a whole lot of movement on the side in this game. But DePaul at home, final hurrah here, right? I guess maybe that's good for a little juice. But can we really see this thing hitting 150 points here, BP?
Well, DePaul does have one more home game coming up against St. John's. Look, I come on various shows here on WagerTalk TV, multiple sports, and I give out a lot of ugly dogs sometimes, right? Even I could not bear to hold my nose and take DePaul here, so that's off the table. I also wouldn't want to lay double digits with Butler, given their current state. They're a bit of a sinking ship now. You look at this as a get-right game, potentially.